You're connected to Nolan, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the town's address. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. You need, yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the town's address. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. You need,
Town's address. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. You need, for the Albert resident. Yeah, I just pulled up and found it.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at
He
34?
passed out. Yes, search for the Albert resident. Yeah, I just pulled up and found it. Oh, yes, search for the Albert resident. Yeah, I just pulled up and found it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
Okay. Did he blew it all?
You've got.
Okay. Did he blew it all? CPR, do they want to attempt CPR?
Sorry, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay. They don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay.
He's breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Sorry, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay. They don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right.
No, I guess he's gone. No, I think he's passed away.
Okay.
You gotta get off him, honey. Kerry, you gotta get off of him. I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going. They just gotta know if he's breathing.
Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Sorry, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we have the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
Oh, right outside. I know, I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know, honey, I know.
He's not there.
Just, Kerry, you gotta get off him, honey. Kerry, you gotta get off of him.
He's not there.
Just, Kerry, you gotta get off him, honey. Kerry, you gotta get off of him.
I went to Elizabeth Proctor, the wife of Michael Proctor's house.
Who does Elizabeth Proctor live with?
Michael Proctor.
So you actually went to Michael Proctor's personal residence, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Does that refresh your recollection, Ms. McCabe, that you had a conversation or an interview, formal interview, with Trooper Tully about your relationship with Elizabeth and Michael Proctor?
Yes.
And you told
Yeah. And I believe in one of the reports, one of the many reports, it will say that I said it was cracked and missing pieces.
You pulled up to Michael Lank's house on the 30th. That's never been reported, has it?
I guess I never thought much of it.
Who was it and when?
It was a couple of weeks ago at the DA's office. An interview, they just explained this process.
I mean, a conversation? How about that?
Yeah. Yes. Mr. Lally, Miss McLaughlin, Steve Nelson, Trooper Brian Tully, I believe, and another woman, I can't remember her name, unfortunately.
Someone from the DA's office?
Yes.
So obviously they did talk to you about your testimony. It wasn't just about the process, correct?
Exactly.
I asked what discovery had been turned in regard to me.
So you wanted to prepare to make sure that you knew what you might be asked on cross-examination, correct?
I wanted to know what was coming. Yes. Yeah. And I believe in one of the reports, one of the many reports, it will say that I said it was cracked. And I never spoke with Mike Lank at his house. It was not an off-the-books meeting. It was Kerry dropping her daughter at one of her good friends' house, whose husband happens to be a Canton cop.
As you walked out,
We were in a conversation, yes.
did you say specifically, "You're coming with me" to Kerry?
No,
You didn't say that.
not exactly those words.
What exactly were the words that you used?
I said, why don't you come with me?
"You're coming with me," or something like that, correct?
No, I was speaking to them, and then I walked to my car.
You didn't say to Mr. O'Keefe, "You're coming with me." You said to Karen Reed, "You're coming with me," or something to that effect, correct?
Mr. O'Keefe was not outside when I said to Karen, you're coming with me. I told Karen, you're coming with me, because John was still in the bar with Matt.
So you asked Karen to come with you in your car.
Yeah.
And see,
We were waiting for John to come out, and I said, why don't you just come with me? It was innocent. We were waiting for John to come out, and I said, why don't you just come with me? It was innocent. Cracked and missing. In a state of shock, that was my description.
Got it. So in a state of shock, you said there was a crack in it.
No,
Hours after,
I said it was cracked. I never said there was a crack in it.
so if Trooper Proctor wrote that down, that would be an example of him getting your words wrong yet again.
Objection.
That's been answered, let's move on, please.
Go to Fairview along with the defendant and Ms. Roberts at the defendant's direction, sometime around 6 a.m. When was it that you first saw Mr. O'Keefe?
I wasn't the one to first see him. Karen was.
In the snow at 34.
Yes, so for the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up and found it. For the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up and found it.
I wasn't the one to first see him. Karen was. Correct.
And neither you nor Ms. Roberts, well, you didn't see Mr. O'Keefe on the lawn until after she did that, correct?
Correct.
And that was after you had already sort of driven a little bit past where he was, correct?
Correct.
Yes, I just pulled up and found it. So, Kerry, you gotta get off him, honey. Kerry, you gotta get off of him.
Was because she knew where he was.
The whole point of that trip was to look for him, correct?
She directed us to go to 34 Fairview.
The whole point of the trip was to look for John, correct?
At 34 Fairview, where Karen said to go.
And your testimony is that if it hadn't been for Karen jumping out of that truck, you would have stopped, correct?
Because I wouldn't have seen him. I didn't know he was there. She did.
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
Yes, so for the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up and found it. In the snow.
In the snow at 34?
Yes, so for the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up and found it.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
You've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
So that's his girlfriend. His name is John O'Keefe.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old. I don't don't know. He got out of the car and
Is he
it took,
breathing?
a couple of hours. Is he, Kerry? Is he? I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going. I just gotta know if he's breathing.
Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Can you guys, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay.
No, I know, honey, I know. So, Kerry, you gotta get off him, honey. Kerry, you gotta get off of him.
Statement. I hit him. You gave a statement on January 29th to Sergeant Lank. Called him over to specifically give him a statement, correct?
Correct.
January 29th to Sergeant Lank. Called him over to specifically give him a statement, correct?
Correct.
Gave us.
I did.
And who, if anyone, did you go there with?
I accompanied Detective Sergeant Lank.
And when you arrived, where did you go with reference to residence?
We went into a side door, and there were people in the kitchen at that time. I believe it was the kitchen area.
And did you know any of the people that were in the kitchen?
I accompanied Detective Sergeant Lank.
And when you arrived, where did you go with reference to residence?
We went into a side door, and there were people in the kitchen at that time. I believe it was the kitchen area.
And did you know any of the people that were in the kitchen?
I did.
Who, if anyone, did you know?
Who I remember specifically was Jen McCabe, who I don't know personally, but I know because that's who Sergeant Lank arrived to talk to. And
Conversation with your chief, is that correct?
that is correct.
And what was your chief's name?
Chief Berkowitz, Kenneth Berkowitz.
And you write E-H, right?
Yes,
And then you write nutbag, as Chief would say, correct?
correct.
Who's Chief?
Friend of mine.
Who's Chief?
Friend of mine.
In regard to this case, this investigation.
I did.
And who, if anyone, called?
Chief Berkowitz.
And as far as what if anything was that call in reference to?
He stated he was driving in the area of 34 Fairview because of the warm weather and the warm rain in the last couple of days.
And who, if anyone, did you indicate to him was working?
I told him Detective Sergeant Lank was working.
You gave a statement on January 29th to Sergeant Lank. Called him over to specifically give him a statement, correct?
Correct.
You gave a statement the next day, later that day, Trooper Proctor, correct?
Correct.
You were also met with, on that following Tuesday, with a trooper named Prince, correct?
Correct.
And then you testified in April of 2022, no fewer than 12 times about statements that you attributed to Ms. Reed, correct?
Correct.
Trooper Proctor on January 29th, is that correct?
Correct.
Was that the first time that you had met him?
Correct.
And who, if anyone, was with him when you met?
I believe it was Trooper Yuri.
And subsequent to that day, did you meet with other troopers in the state?
Yes.
And by other troopers, I mean not Trooper Proctor and not Trooper Yuri.
Yes.
Quarrel with the idea, I don't want to hold you to a number, you wouldn't quarrel with the idea that you had multiple calls with Trooper Proctor in January, in February, in March, correct?
Well, the ones I've just saw on the record, yes, there were multiple calls there.
And of course, you met him in your home on January 29th.
Yes, I did.
And he came into your living room. That sound right? First or second?
Yeah, something. It was the Tuesday following.
Okay. And was that with Trooper Proctor or a different trooper?
A different trooper. A different trooper.
And
Tuesday, whatever the date was.
the first? That sound right? First or second?
Yeah, something. It was the Tuesday following.
Okay. And was that with Trooper Proctor or a different trooper?
A different trooper.
And in your dining room,
Mhm.
that was the day that Brian Albert was also there.
Correct.
And was Brian Albert also interviewed at the house for, gosh, it had to have been an hour.
I'm not sure. After I interviewed, I went upstairs and then my children started waking up and I was tied upstairs for a while. I'm not sure when or how long he was there.
By Lieutenant Tully. That's the report that you've already seen.
Correct.
And in that interview, you were asked specifically whether or not you had a relationship with Trooper Proctor and when that relationship started, correct?
Correct.
And you said, quote, you had never met Elizabeth Proctor or Michael Proctor prior to September 2023, correct?
I did not say that.
So yet again, this is another example of a trooper completely getting it wrong. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained asking.
Were found that has the defense asking questions.
During that thorough search of Brian Albert's front lawn, the number of pieces of tail light that were found by a minimum of 4 officers looking for evidence was 0.
The defense has suggested investigators may have tampered with Reed's vehicle and planted pieces of her taillight at the scene. The prosecution says that's not true. Witnesses testified to seeing Reed's SUV in front of 34 Fairview around midnight, but no one reported seeing damage to Karen Reed's taillight.
Around 12:45 in the morning, when the vehicle was in front of the residence on Fairview, that for some perceptible period of time, that vehicle travels over 6.
Investigators first arrived on the scene that the first pieces of taillight were found by the State Police Emergency Response Team. That was around 5:30 in the evening. According to police records, that's around the same time Karen Reed's SUV was seized by State Police Trooper Michael Proctor and towed to the Canton PD. Trooper Michael Proctor reportedly found multiple pieces of taillight at the scene in the days after O'Keefe's body was found. Canton's police chief had also spotted a piece himself later that week.
Chief Berkowitz brought my attention to a piece of red glass that was about 6 to 8 feet off the into the yard.
I told him that the taillight was cracked.
You see that photograph? You were shown this photograph on Friday. Does that look like, does it like have a crack in it?
It's cracked, yes.
It's actually completely missing.
Yeah. And I believe in one of the reports, one of the many reports, it will say that I said it was cracked and missing pieces.
The thing is, the alternative theory really, which is the inference from the defense, is that it's maybe planted somehow. You know, I wonder, how do you plant a piece of hair on a vertical car and have that stick for, you know, 2 days before it's picked up with a pair of tweezers? And the Commonwealth didn't ask, was there any adhesive? Was there any glue? Because I don't think that's plausible either. So, like I said, I think that the evidence coming out is not really showing anything. It's just leading me to have more questions than answers at this point, which is not favorable to the Commonwealth, I don't think.
Well, no, because
its origin, the manner in which the hair was removed, meaning was it torn, was it cut, was it burned?
As police execute the search warrant, they see that Scott's moved things around in the 2 days since Lacey disappeared. In his warehouse, they see that the homemade anchor is still there. So is something else that turns out to be incriminating. A pair of pliers with a black hair clamped inside. Detective Brocchini and his colleagues realize they've now got something that they needed desperately. A potential piece of forensic evidence against Scott.
It was one of those days where we're all sitting around and thinking, gosh, what are we going to do now, kind of a thing. We need something, and we see this picture of this hair. And it's not like a transfer hair, it's in the pliers.
Detective Brocchini and his colleagues realize they've now got something that they needed desperately. A potential piece of forensic evidence against Scott.
It was one of those days where we're all sitting around and thinking, gosh, what are we going to do now, kind of a thing. We need something, and we see this picture of this hair. And it's not like a transfer hair, it's in the pliers.
This was a near miracle for criminal investigations.
DNA, pieces of glass, taillight, and more collected from Reed's SUV.
That is a picture of the apparent hair I noted in the area. Reed's
attorneys questioning how some pieces were loosely perched on the bumper after the vehicle was transported from Canton to Dighton and back in a blizzard.
It was one of those days where we're all sitting around and thinking, gosh, what are we going to do now, kind of a thing. We need something, and we see this picture of this hair. And it's not like a transfer hair, it's in the pliers.
A day full of testimony about forensic evidence. Based on all of that, what was the big takeaway for you?
The big takeaway for me, JC, was I have no idea what happened. Really, it's interesting to me because the two things I think that we're focused on were the hair that was retrieved by the criminalist from the state police lab, as well as the gray sweatshirt that John O'Keefe had. And what is shown to me that I'm coming up with more questions than answers on both ways, because the Commonwealth is basically stating that this piece of hair stayed on Karen Reed's vehicle from Dighton back to the Canton Police Department, that it stayed on until the State Police Crime Lab came.
This is actually, if we can put